Okay, video update for the morning. It is cold, it is raining, it's 9 degrees Celsius. I'm out here with the intention today of performing a full sensor check of everything I can without spinning the engine. I might get to spinning the engine, but it's unlikely, but that's the goal. So I'd like to make sure I can test any static sensors, any control motors. Like I've already tested the idle air control motor because I was really keen to see that would work, but I'll do it again on video. I want to check things like your intake air temperature sensor here, my engine coolant temperature sensor, which I've got over on that side instead of on this side. I'm actually running two, one for the factory computer on this side and one for the PCM on that side. From my previous LS turbo car, I found that having that sensor really close to the turbo, the temperature spikes when the turbo gets hot, but it's not necessarily in reflection to the coolant temperature, it's more the ambient temperature. So the sensor I want to rely on is the one that's away from the turbo over this side. I've just pulled my injectors out. I had a set of, I think they were 80-pound Siemens injectors, and I've just put the stock set of LS1 injectors back in. My friend Andy, who's going to help me with the tune, wants to just do a baseline calibration with a stock 1-bar map sensor and a stock set of injectors, so he's got known referenceable data to tune in the VE. And then once we've got that good, we'll just change the injectors and scale the injectors, because I don't have a data sheet or anything that I can rely on. So we're going to do it that way. That should be pretty consistent and repeatable. So that's the goal for today. I need to route the rest of this loom. This is the starter motor and crank sensor and alternator and knock sensor loom that needs to run down beside the engine and around. I need to route that today. The other part of the loom is down here, which is for the transmission. I've just dropped it down the hole for now, but I'll need to get the car back up on the hoist to plug that into the transmission just so I can get that right. I still haven't got the shifter sorted out, so I'm just going to put the transmission in park for now, and we'll do the tests like that. And yeah, I mean, apart from that, I'm going to plumb up the fuel system and do a pressure test of the fuel system just to make sure it holds pressure and doesn't leak anywhere. I haven't finished the wiring for that yet, so that's also going to come in this video. Alright, stay tuned. Okay, fuel rails are back on, injectors are in and plugged in. I have pushed the loom down the gap, plugged in the coolant temperature sensor, in there, focus, whatever. I've connected the fuel lines to the rail, so that's the feed. Feed comes up the back of this rail, comes across to the other rail, goes to the back of this rail, and then we'll connect from here to the regulator here, and then return out of the regulator back to the tank. That's the neatest way I could do it. I did originally have the flex fuel sensor in here as well, but I didn't want the flex fuel sensor on the pressure side, and it was too hard to route hoses on the return side because I just wanted the return to go straight down and out. So, there's that. Next thing I need to do is I need to find a more LS1 suitable brake booster hose, because being that this is an Australian engine, and those familiar with LS's, the brake booster port on an LS comes out that side. Normally you go to a booster which is there. We don't have that luxury, so the hose actually has a little U-turn in it, and then it goes to here. So I'm going to try and find an LS1, connect it up, see how it meets up to the brake booster. I might have to just join two together with a barb, but I think the LS1 will be pretty close to suiting exactly what I need. So that's the next hunt, and I'll find something and pop it back on. I have found what I need. Everyone's got one of these tucked in the corner of their shed, don't they? Just a built LSX engine. Yeah, good. Alright, so you can see what I mean. Comes out, goes that way. So I'm going to just pop this off and swap it over to my engine. I think that'll be pretty good. This might need to be a little bit longer, so I might have to have a little doodad here. Maybe I'll join it here. I don't know yet, but this is the part that I need. This is the part that really makes all the difference. So maybe wondering why I'm not using this engine in this car. When I started this car all those years ago, this was in another car that I was driving daily. It's not now, and it's obviously been sitting here for quite some time, but I still want to complete the project, get it running with that piece of shit, and really beat on it. I don't care if it blows up. I really don't. There's just a stock 6 litre with a cam in it. When that fails, when that fails, that's going in. but it's not happening yet. I'm in no hurry. There's going to be a lot of dicking around to make this fit now because this has got the L76 style heads on it, which means it's square port, not cathedral port, which means it's a different intake, which means the map sensor's different, the throttle body's bigger. Things are different. I don't care. It's too hard. This will work for now. I'll change it when I need to. But I'll get this hose swapped over now and we'll see how it looks. Okay, how's that? Looks like I bought one, right? So it comes out of the back of the intake manifold, loops around, comes up here. I've got a bit of abrasion resistance here. I did actually chop it and extend it because it only sort of went to there. Focus. Only went to there, and the booster port is here. So it's got a join there, and it's just got a big barb fitting in there. It's not going to come off, and another bit of abrasion resistance there to cover the join and to also stop it rubbing on the booster. But that looks pretty good to me. Obviously it covers the top of the dipstick, but it's flexible, so it's not a problem if I needed to get in and check the fluid. So I'm pretty happy with that. Moving on to the next bit. A little more done, a little more to show. I have back fuel lines all on and tightened up. I've put a bit of this foam anti-chafing stuff on here just to stop those wearing out. I actually had to take the intake manifold off just to plug this bloody hose into the back, which runs to the fuel pressure regulator. I couldn't get my hands in there to actually push it onto the barb, and it was a tight fit, but it wasn't a tight fit on this end, so I had to use one of these stupid clips on here. That's not going anywhere now though, that's all in. And what else have I done? Coils back on, obviously on this side. I've pushed the loom down there, I did that before. On this side, I've just plugged up the ports on the wastegate that I'm not using, and I've ran some hose to this port here on the intake manifold, which is pretty convenient. That one there's just a breather. I've just put that there so it doesn't have a hole for dirt to fall in, even though it already has. But yeah, all the other ports are plugged up. I'm not using the water lines on there. That will do the job for now. These wires here, I plan on later on, I'm going to use those for a boost tee. Not a boost tee, a Mac valve, which I'll bolt around here somewhere, so it's all good. And that other orange one there is going to go here for the coolant temperature sensor for the dash. So I've just got to put a plug on those. They're just there for now, but they're not going to cause any harm. So, yep. Next, the car's got to go up. I'll have to have a look at the wiring from underneath, and also start plumbing in the fuel system at the back of the car so I can do a pressure test. So next time it's up, or next time the video is up, will be on the hoist. Okay, car is up on the hoist now. I have pulled the... I have pulled the loom down there, and it's behind the shield with the starter motor. I pulled the starter motor off to get to this crankcase sensor in there, because they put that in a ridiculous spot. Connected up the knock sensor and the starter engagement wire. I have run the loom underneath, and yes, I know it shouldn't be secured to the frame, it should be secured to the engine, blah blah. I don't care. When it breaks, I'll fix it. Right now, that's fine. That wire then runs across to the alternator and the knock sensor on this side. It's all heat sleeves on this side because it's getting a bit close to hot shit. And we get around to the alternator in there. So that's that. I also pulled the wire down the back, which is in there, which runs for the transmission. So we have the switchy boy, front speed sensor, rear speed sensor, and the main hookup all there. I need to put some bolts in there, which I've just realised I forgot to do. It's not going anywhere, but it does need some bolts. And the loom will zip tied to that bracket there, which is good enough for me. That's that bit. So I'll just put those couple of bolts in here, and I can pop it back down again, and I'll just tighten the oil pressure feed line that runs to the turbo, and the drain lines up, and then I think we're ready for the sensor check after that. Yeah. Okay, found a little problem that I'm going to need to rectify before I go any further. I really can't be bothered removing this turbo manifold again, but the problem I have is the temperature coolant sensor here won't turn in because the nut on it hits this side of the manifold here. So I'm just going to die grind it off in place and try real hard to not hit the head. I don't think it'll be a problem. There is a bit of a gap there from the gasket, so I should be fine. I've just taken the turbo off, so I've got a bit of room and masked up some shit that might get crap in it. I'll just give that a quick buzz now and see how we go. Job done. Can't really see, but I just clearanced it enough so the nut will turn. This thing's fantastic. I love these things. Focus, yeah. That, it's right in there. That's just an eBay job. Couple of bucks. Love it. Yes, that plug's broken, but it's not broken where it matters, so that's fine. It's only for the dash anyway, so if that stops working, nothing really matters. Except for I'm annoyed. But yeah, that's screwed in there now. So now I can put the turbo back on. I need to try and crank this and see if I get oil pressure out of this line, which is there. Let's see if I get oil pressure out of here. Maybe that's the next thing I'll try. Just got to remove all the spark plugs so it'll zip over pretty well, and yeah, maybe we're ready to do that. Alright, really along for the journey with me here. We're going bit by bit. I don't even know what's going to happen here. Probably fire. So I got that out ready to go, which is good. I've just popped a bottle on this feed line just so I can see if oil starts shooting into there when I crank it a little bit. I've disconnected all the injectors. I've pulled all of the coil plugs, powers out. All the spark plugs are out, so it should zip over nice and quick. That's all done. I've got the battery connected up. So I'm just going to crank it and see if it works, and then I'll put the phone down because I can't do both, and we should see what happens. That's good noise. Starter motor works. The circuit to get there is working. I don't know if power's staying onto the PCM. I'll have to check that, but for what I need to do now, it's just checking oil pressure. So I'm going to pop the phone down and see what happens. Alright, take a look at this. Where are we? That's oil, people. Nice, clean, fresh oil pumped from the pump right up that feed line. So, that took forever. I thought it was knackered. This engine's been sitting for about 8 years. It was a piece of shit when I got it. It's still a piece of shit now. So, hey, it's still got oil pressure. Well, not oil pressure, but oil flow. That's a good sign. I reckon it's almost ready to try and get some fuel going into this thing. Go. Fuck yeah, we'll get another one. Hang on. Go again. She runs. Have a look.
Okay.
Okay, so we have success. The engine starts on brake cleaner, which is not amazing, but I don't have the ability to run the fuel system at the moment. So that shows that all my wiring's working, which is great. Shows I'm getting spark. Shows that the engine's reading the crankcase and the cam. Crankcase, Jesus, I don't know why I keep saying that. The crank angle sensor and the cam angle sensor correctly, and syncing the engine and telling it to start, which is good. It says that the fueling is close to right, probably not perfect, but it's enough to probably kick it over. And I've got oil pressure. So the next step is to wire up the fuel system. People stop messaging me, that'd be really great. Would be to wire up the relays for the fuel system, fill the tank. The tank's bone dry at the moment, and we're in a lockdown in Victoria, so I probably can't get any fuel. So we'll see how we go. Tomorrow's another day. We might get a bit further, but fuck yeah, we have life. It's great. Thanks all.